Come on. Long way from that crack house, trap house, stash house. Kept me capping up, bagging up, weighing up work. Tapping the money until my fingers start to hurt. Coming to you from a land down under. Looking at a man at work. It's return to that underground king. It's return to that underground king. Rebirth for Pimp C now. Breaking down them pounds to the Moses. I inherit the game from my OGs as we blow trees. Told me young blood, fuck that front shit. That's that punk shit. You wanna get money in these streets, better hustle for self. Fuck, get hooked holding a bag for anyone else. And since that day, it's been Mr. Certified, everything official now. Mr. Certified, everything official now. Mr. Certified, everything official. Long way from that crack house, trap house, stash house. Kept me tapping up, bagging up, weighing up, whipping up work. Tapping the money until my fingers start to hurt. Coming to you from the land down under. Looking at some men at work. It's return of that underground kings, come on. It's return of them underground kings, come on. Come on, what? Rebirth for Pimp C, breaking down them pounds to the Moses. I inherit the game from my OGs as we blow trees. Told me young blood, fuck that front shit. That's that punk shit. You wanna get money in these streets, better hustle for self. Don't get caught holding the bag for no one else. And since that day, it's been Mr. Certified, everything official now. Mr. Certified, everything official now. Mr. CEO, welcome back. Street Cred, the book, promotion. We about to break it down. Philly hip hop. This is the sound. You know what I mean? That's what's up. Check this joint out right here. We coming live in effect. 215. You know how we do. We're gonna touch on topics. We're gonna drop it. We're gonna keep it real for the people. Print it up. Put it out. And distribute. New hustle. New game. But ain't nothing changed. Giving you flavor. Alright. Now back to the book. On this chapter, I like to bring a very key element to Philly hip hop, which is the DJ. See, on the regard of the chapter Wheels of Steel, I speak on how I came up in the city, rich with the flavor of soul. So, I recall coming home Sundays, Butterball on the radio. You know what I mean? During the course of the week, WHAT, Perry Mason. Now, in the mid-90s, a new sound began to go ahead and capture the airways. That sound was Power 99 FM. See, with that in mind, we begin to see a different flavor of music than what Philly radio was accustomed to. That soul sound then became more upbeat, more gritty. It became more self-awareness driven. It allowed the audience to identify that these younger generation of hip-hoppers had something to say. Now, how I came up on the streets of Philly. And I gotta rep that. You dig what I'm saying? Came up looking at the Tuff crew. Now, we said everything we was gonna do, we was going back with the paperwork. My man Joey TOOTUFF. Alright? First one to give me an intro and introduction to the music game. One, seeing what it took to bring about and keep a crew together. That's very key, because right now in these changing times of the industry, we don't see any more crews. We see individuals representing hip hop. We really don't know anything necessarily about the backdrop or backstory of what crew they came up on under, or who basically were the people left behind. Now, due to the changing times, pretty much driven by the dollar, the split of a group versus an individual is definitely different. So whether it's R&B, whether it's hip hop, that split makes a difference on who pockets it lands. Now, I want to give a big up to the magnificent DJ Jazzy Jeff, because he went online and he touched upon some key aspects of, even though TSOP never recorded a hip hop group, they were very supportive in Jazz and Will's success. Very key. The soul aspect, the souvenir shop, TSOP, we rep that. Because Philly is not just a place, Philly is a culture, a flavor. So when you step into the city, take a whiff, smell them cheesesteaks, smell that fresh baked tasty cakes. You want that. You want them pretzels. You can smell that. So although when you see artistry, they represent their block, but Philly is a culture, something that you can taste, something that you can feel, something that you should love. And you begin to love the culture of Philly by honoring your pioneers. That's very key. That's what the kingdom is about. I'm not going to sit here and tell you, hey, these guys are no longer relevant. I'm letting you know, yo, the Tuff Crew going to be performing March 14th, Lancaster Ave. They will be in effect and bringing you the hit smash, My Part of Town. Dig me? So, for those that know, and for those younger hip-hoppers, go see a crew in effect. Come hear your block, your hood being shot out, My Part of Town. You know? Because it lets you know that you paying respect to those that paved the way. They're one of the first people to put an anthem out about Philly. Now, no one can better represent their part of town than the people from that neck of the woods. You dig what I'm saying? So, you know, can't forget Tone Love, Uptown, My Part of Town. Can't forget North Side, you know what I mean? Ice Dog, My Part of Town. You know what I mean? Boom, West Side, Southwest. You know what I mean? Might not be my part of town, but heck, I go through your hood. Things good. You know what I mean? South Philly, my part of town. You know what I mean? Anytime I'm at the Italian market, and first thing people ask about Philly is, yo, what about South Philly? Let them know the hustlers. That's basically where you see the hustler culture at. West Philly, that's where you get a little taste of New York. It's like a baby New York when you go out West Philly. You know, boom, even Northeast. You know what I mean? Laid back. Mount Airy, G-Town. You know what I mean? G-Town, my part of town, where, you know, I did my thing. You know what I mean? Big up the Wayne Avenue, the bottom. You know what I mean? Freck, B. You know what I mean? Steve. Can't forget Big Steve, cousin. You know what I mean? So, Irene, Ina. You know what I mean? Straight up, Loretta. We know how we do. You know what I mean? I rep this, gang. So, with that being said, back to the culture. The Wheels of Steel are something that I hold in honor. If you know me, I've always been around DJs. Whether it's TOOTUFF, Jerb Uptown, DJ Wax Spinner, DJ Drama, DJ Sense, DJ Cannon, CAU, Family, most definitely. GC, DJ Keenan Elite. Big up. Rest in peace, DJ Clark Kent, who I met through my man Money Mark Edwards, record ball player. You know what I mean? Boom. Met him while I was there at the homecoming for Morgan State. So I've always been close, as they would say, behind the wheels of steel. Why? So I can get an inside look of what the industry basically has come up from. So now as we see a changing movement of hip-hop, we see less DJ culture. And with that being said, it's like, why? Because now it's falling into the hands of the track makers, the beat makers. But as an MC, the aspect of battling with your DJ is one of the main caveats that get you popping. You know, if it was not for jazz, Will wouldn't come up with the lyrics like, it's sort of the ordinary, it's sort of extraordinary, a literary genius. He's battling with his DJ. You know what I mean? Boom. Why? Because the hands versus the voice. And with that merger gives you a brilliant, brilliant aspect of hip hop. So support your DJs when you throw parties. You look for that neighborhood DJ as I did. Coming up in Uptown, our thing was the house party. Now, before social media, word of mouth was the thing. So the first thing people ask for, well, who's DJing the party? Who you got DJing the party? Who gonna get it live? Who gonna get it popping? Cause you know I'ma have the chicks come through. That's what the press do. You know what I mean? Boom. So now who's gonna keep the pace and the beat of the rhythm is a very important aspect of the house party. That's one of the key factors of what we built or building blocks of hip hop. It didn't just come about through stadiums or coliseums. It was a building block. And one of those building blocks that came inside was the house party. That where the DJ of your neighborhood was spotlighted because he had the show. Then he got everybody moving. So I was online. I peeped some of my, as they would say, old heads still doing their thing. You know what I mean? Ronnie Beach Street. I was like, he still got it. You know what I mean? When I used to go to the parties, Ronnie would kill that shit. You know what I mean? Bobby Dance would kill that shit. Because the DJ, and whether it's Jazzy Jeff, Tap Money, Amir, Questlove, Tuff, whoever spinned had the people captivated. When we went up to New York back in 89, and 89 was like the golden era of hip hop. See, because we were able to capture a crown from New York. That's tough competition. That gave them an awareness that, hey, these guys in Philly, they're taking it serious. They're loving hip hop the way that we do. Now, I don't want you to think that I'm not just riding off a culture. I want you to know that I've been representing it. So I pulled my files. Autograph, Cool C, 89. You see what I'm saying? So, with that, it's a cost to play for this glamorous life. He's paid that high cost. Don't forget to support him as one of the pioneers of Philly hip hop. No matter what your feelings are. With that, as I continue to represent and support that artistry right now, the aspect of the DJs, those pioneers, came about with that new wave of sound that Lady B brought Friday nights. And I fell in love with hip hop with the passing of Scott LaRock, because she played everything BDP. You dig what I'm saying? Everything BDP on that Friday night, the week of his death. And I know I break dance on my porch for like 2 hours straight. It was cutting it up, jamming it up. And Chris, one of my number one MCs, you know, because what he brought was consciousness, rhythm, rhyme, and intellect into the music game, where a lot of times as a dancer, we only listening for the sound, the DJ bringing the beats, you know, but now Chris is doing more than the yes, yes, y'all, more than the party hype, you know, boom, the roof is on fire. Chris is giving you intellect on tracks, consciousness on wax, and it's blending in with the sound, magnificent. So my first tape I ever rocked to the tape pop, Criminal Minded. Why? Because he showed me how to mix intellect, street, and ill-ass beats in one compilation. Now, that's something you can't forget. So, If this was a class, it would go back into drama. See, now, as an artist, I've supported a young DJ Drama. The world now knows him as 2022's DJ of the Year, but I know him as Tyree, my homeboy. He provided the beats. We represented Philly and Atlanta and a changing element of hip hop, because he began to see where the South began to make its impression felt into the game. So one of the things that T.I. was able to inherit was a great DJ from Philly, which is the backbone of our music group. We hold our DJs in high esteem. So, in the perspective of keeping your receipts, you can't just be an MC, because this has broken down to an entertainment business, entertainment driven. So with the audio, you gotta have visual, because that's how the game is now. It's no longer, hey, I know it's street corner driven, I know it's street corner funded, but it does have to touch industry level standards. So, and a story must be told. With that, going into the more storyline aspect, Big Gilly, I'm gonna bite your phrase for this chapter. $1 million worth of game. My first television appearance was as Thursday's Child on Larry Kane, Channel 10. So, that appearance was down Broad in Glenwood. At that time, it was Joe Frazier's gym. So, I had no idea that I would be meeting the champ. So, I come into the gym, glass doors, walk through, see the ring. One cat on the bag, boxing. See another cat training them. So, they tell me to go to one of the little locker rooms, I guess for the boxers. Next thing you know, here comes the champ. Joe Frazier, Smoking Joe, real deal. So, I'm sitting there, whoa. Goliath of a man, to me, at the age of 12, 13 years old. He comes to me and asks me, so you think you tough? Now, I was always taught in Philly, don't let nobody take your heart. So I look up a man that's bigger than me, stronger than me, and I know I'm whooped. But I ain't gonna let nobody take my heart. I looked at the champ, Smoking Joe Frazier. I let him know I'm tough enough. He smiled. Then he grabbed a packet of crazy glue, handed it to me, and told me to read this, tough guy. And as I began to read, he was impressed, because I knew how to break down the phonetics of the words, of the chemical bonds, and back of the crazy glue pack. See, that's when he said to me, stop. Then he showed me his massive hands. You know, let me know that they've been broken in several places. This is what he told me. $1 million worth of game. Take notes. He said, I made my living with my hands, but I want my children to make their living with their minds. Joe Frazier. Now, at that time, it didn't quite sink in. It was a little over my head, because I was hard-headed. That's what it is to be a young hard-head. You know, someone has to bring you game and then at the same time challenge you. Now, we from the city of underdogs, underdog fighters, undercard fighters, where we hold a fictitious character as the symbol of Philadelphia, Rocky Balboa. Not taking nothing away from Sly because the dream is more important. But coming from an actual champ, giving actual game, making this actual impression felt on me. It took years to understand and appreciate what he said. Still rings in my ears today. I want my children to make their living with their minds. And we see that. We see that in his daughter, Jacqueline Frazier, as she sits on the District Court of Philadelphia. We see that as she even upholds her father's legacy and battles with the champion of the world, Muhammad Ali's daughter. At the same time, the fight continues after generations. So what I'm giving you is some of the game from Philly that was given to me, because that's important. Like I told you, Philly's not just a place, it's a culture. And by providing these stories through this book, giving street cred, because now that I'm in a box with a silverback, my little curious George ass self is saying to myself, how can I win this fight? Fight could not be won. I'd rather be sitting with an elephant in the room. At least I could outrun the elephant. But not at all. But what he let me know is that the fight changes. The fight changes from using your hands to using your mind. And that's the $1 million game I wanted to drop on you today. Appreciate that, Gilly, for letting me, capture the cat phrase. So, now, as I break down some things I wanted to touch bases on in hip-hop, I think it's important once we understand that support aspect of artists to DJ and supporting the local DJs and MCs. Get with the DJs, man. That's going to make your skills step up to the next level. I'm telling you, this is the element that they were able to use to their advantage, because a lot of times we mock our own. So when they go other places and are successful, then you be like, oh, he not repping the city. Oh, he not doing this. He was there. Before Drama Success with Tip, he was Bahamadia's DJ. I know it firsthand. The book gives account when I first met Drama. So I'll bring it back to you. Okay. Spring of '96, Clark Atlanta University. I'm in the cafeteria. I see a familiar face from Philly. Just seen him about a month ago. My man Saga Moore. Underground writer, underground hip-hopper, acts pros. See him. He walking through by my man Rodney. I know Rodney from campus, Philly boy. Rodney has his boy from Central. Immediately, Rodney goes to introduce Saga to me. Saga let it be known. No introduction needed. El Presidente. We pound up. What's up? What's good? You know what I mean? What's good, gang? You know what I mean? We in Philly. We in the ATL. We still representing Philly. He introduced me to the boy Tyree. Now, at that time, we had a HBCU. So, Tyree is, if he ain't the lightest brother in the room, he the top 5. So, I'm looking at side like, this is a HBCU. So, I was still ambiguous to what his ethnicity was. But that's when he let me know we here for a college tour. He's thinking about coming. So that night, let him know, come through. We're going to blow some trees. Later bust some rhymes. That's what we do. So, came through that night. Fort Drum with him. Now, me, my man Mello, my man Drew, myself, Ak, you know what I mean? We out there, Saga Moore out there, Drum start beatboxing as we hitting the L. So, we naturally do what MCs do. We start rhyming. So, as we're rhyming, the intensity of the beatbox became stronger. And I began to see his face turn damn near bloodshot red. So, what his pigment lacked in melanin, his soul transcended with beats. With that, we going off the top. You know what I mean? Non-stop, back and forth. The rain becomes down. Start raining hard. We under the pavilion between the dorms. The girls and the boys dorm, Pfeiffer Hall. So, sitting back, drum don't stop. I keep rolling. Twisting, we blowing trees, we trapped now, can't go nowhere, it's monsooning out there. You know what I mean? Boom, it's raining cats and dogs. Boom, he beatboxing hard. And I could see that complexion or color didn't dictate love for this culture. Real rap. That's what the book Street Cred embodies, those stories. So, before you seen them predominantly on television, as he earned his right and his way too, I share you the stories of the underground. And I capture it not just with sounds, but visual and story. That right there is another level of my artistry because it brings the photography, it brings the spoken word, it brings the beats. So everything that I've been forced to do individually has just greatened or strengthened, should I say. I'm not yet to achieve a standard or level that it's signified by anything by myself as what it is, but of what it is to be the new spirit of the independent. And that was passed down from experiences. These experiences brought about a necessity to catalog, to document, and now to distribute. Now, what's the holdup? Corporate holds have left me in a limbo position. I reached out to Upwork. I hope they're listening. An attempt to go ahead and get them to do something new and transcending and innovative for hip hop with this book. They got me on some type of hold. So I reached out to other companies, Seven Circle Media, who initially was on board with the project, but then they seen the more, as they would say, risque sense of the artistry because it is a street product, particularly in the A, rappers and strippers like brothers and sisters in the culture. So I've had the privilege to, as they would say, see how they drop it like it's hot, for real though. You know what I mean? So with those glimpses, and I understand where the culture is right now as far as misogyny, it's not black exploitation if I, as a photographer, are catching them in their natural habitat, being themselves and who they are. And particularly coming from someone that is of African American descent. I'm not exploiting, I'm just capturing the moment. So there was some issues of artistic difference. So right now, I am taking the time to reach out to anyone who is a graphic design person, anyone that is interested in working with this project, because it definitely needs to be, as they would say, brought to the mainstream, brought to the big screen. So I give a shout out to Overbrook Productions because the story and the first series is ready. And we're back with everything from photography to literature to music. So with that, I reach out to, 50 Cent Company or any production company, Lee Daniels, anyone that's in the area. And I understand that Daniels don't necessarily capture the hip hop element. But because of, in fact, of his back affiliation and in his collegiate background, I want him to see that this is, as they would say, a touch of class. You know what I mean? Boom, a touch of jazz, in the words of Jeff. You know what I mean? So with that, I reach out, and my email address, soulnexus, SOULNEXTUS @gmail.com. My number, you know what I mean? Boom. It's the public number. You know what I mean? 267-407-6030. Once again, email soulnexus, SOULNEXTUS @gmail.com. Number 267-407-6030. I don't have to speak to anyone personally. That's not what I'm reaching out to. You got representatives, and understand, as they would say, hierarchy and how business goes. So I will not be offended if I'm speaking to the man next to the man next to the man, you know. But I wish to see this come to light. I wish for you to take this as authentic, and forgive me if I'm not taking the time to read what you would say, all the messages coming through, because I would like to convey, and not, you know, at this point I'm not selling, so, and get the thought process, my train of thought, not to be disturbed. So getting back to how we do in Philly. All right. One of the ambassadors of hip hop, rest in peace, Chucky Go-Go. Chucky Go-Go was one of the first, also manager for the legendary crew, 3 Times Dope. You know what I mean? I get into that a little later. But Chucky Go-Go used to come through on a skateboard, boombox in hand. And he would have those tapes that they mixed in the park up in New York. And he would teach us, listen to the blend, listen for the cut. Because there was a new wave of music that was taking over, and it was only coming through the boombox sector. For those that basically were the pioneer boombox carriers, they were carrying the culture at that time. So Chucky Go-Go was the boombox carrier. He was, as they would say, a hip-hop ambassador in the sense of going through every hood, letting them see what was going on in NY, bringing that sound to Philly. I heard that he had passed, and it touched me because he was one of the great influences of my neighborhood. And I know Bobby Dance, I know that, you know, Ronnie Beat Street, all these people, you know what I mean, knew Chucky much more closer than I, because he in fact was older, you know what I mean? But at the same time, before social media, before Upward Magazine, Source, Double XL, or anything to that effect, hip-hop was something that was talked about on the street corner. So I remember being on the corner right there, up some Lampkin Pipe, Chucky be out there with the boom box, you know what I mean? Boom, we listening, you know what I mean? We getting that new coming through, and at the same time, we're learning music culture, musicology. Thank you, Chuck, because that kind of put me onto my first job. My first job in hip-hop was carrying TOOTUFF crates down North Philly in the park with my man Chucky. You know what I mean? Tuff. It's like, yo, pay you 2 guys 50 cents. So, you know, we chilling in the park. Chuck got the mini bike. So we been up and down the block about 50 times that afternoon. You know what I mean? We just chilling out in the park now. So we like, yeah, that's $1. So back then, you know, this the early 80s. $1 was something, you know, put a little work in. All right. So we carrying 2 crates from 4th and Lawrence, or 4th and Thompson, up to 4th and Germantown, where he had his little setup at. So I'm carrying the crates. Next thing you know, I see them white dots on my palms. I'm getting calluses. I'm like, hold up. You know what I mean? This 50 cent worth of work is heavy work. But that was my first, as they would say, little task in hip hop. where I learned carrying these crates was a heavy job and to be respected. And I appreciate Tuff for giving me that opportunity because even to this day, you know what I mean? Boom, I still feel that tough love. We still tight. You know, I had an opportunity to see the Tuff crew perform on December 4th. It's the Short Shot, hosted by DJ Cash. And let me tell you, a crew reunion, that was in effect. I'm talking about it was all OG'd out, no doubt. But to see Monty G, to see Ice Dog, LA, Tuff, you know what I mean, Tone Love, you see what I'm saying, boom, all together. I'm still asking, yo, where MC Mechanism? You see what I'm saying? Cuz, where you at? So to see after 4 decades of music, a crew still being held together, and don't get it twisted. Don't, you know what I mean? There's been some turbulence in the group, like every group. But to still hold it together and rep and hear boom, you know what I mean? That sound, my part of town, boy. You know what I mean? That right there is something even the younger generation better check. This what it is to write an anthem. Check. This what it is to go ahead and make something that's classic, that still rock 4 decades later. So, and I seen an old campmate, you know what I mean? Boom, and I'm saying that, playing it down. But my man Rob Waller, the greatest man alive, EST, who I've actually met at Camp Streamside. And I let him know, yo, from Camp Streamside, that kind of blew him back. But the book touches upon the first time I seen him on stage. Now, I seen him on stage that night, but I seen him before the world had an opportunity to, one, take a look at his massive aspect of talent. And it transcends not only through rap, but through R&B, because we were at a Christian camp. You know, Rob, he was always, as they would say, rebellious, and because we were at a Christian camp, whatever went on took place, it had him on stage. So I had, you know, seen Rob and his man from Jersey who was beatboxing. Rob was always coming off the top, you know what I mean? Boom, crazy rhyme game. You know what I mean? Dripping with the fluid, the wet them when they do it. I know it like Otis when the style is bogus. You know what I mean? Boom, very clever as an MC and his intricacy in the use of the words. So, gotta bite my tongue. I'm so high-strung. So, with that in mind, I got a chance to see another layer of his artistry. The man had a voice, has a voice of an angel, like on some Luther Vandross shit. So, I document that because I'm one of the few people that actually got an opportunity to observe that level of artistry that he brought to, not just to the camp, but to the game, to the world. So he has written songs for Beyonce Knows, as he proudly has claimed, real rap. In the regard of that beautiful contribution that Philly gives, like I told you, Philly is more than a place. Philly is a culture. You know, Philly is bigger than your block. I know you rep your block. I love that. I see you artists out there. You know what I mean? That's real G. You know what I mean? But at the same time, we want the world to take a bite. We want the world to say, oh, yeah, I like that taste. Because that's what the TSOP is about. And we still fall under that umbrella of artistry because those are our forefathers. You know what I mean? The world knows, you know, me and Mrs. Jones. You know what I mean? Boom. The world love Billy Paul's sound. You know what I mean? Am I black enough for you? You know what I mean? Because we are the first ones to touch upon soundtracks through SCHOOLY D. You know what I mean? How you gonna have a King of New York without a SCHOOLY D soundtrack? It ain't gonna happen. You know what I mean? So, what we give to the industry is something that we clearly identify is soul driven. That soul power. And I hope that you artists of today continue that legacy, that he's the DJ, I'm the rapper. You know what I mean? Now, even though your parents may never understand, that it still continues to be cultivated. The fact that when we see the new, as they would coin themselves, the baddies, nothing more than the fly girls, what Kwame Ture penned in his book, Never Philly Writer. How they walk, how they talk, what they swag is, how they drip. So we've always transcended style. So bringing it back to Neil Styles, Paul Mary jeans and silk shirts, you know what I mean? Boom, we had our own flavor. So I understand that's essential for the game, but let's talk on it. You know what I mean? Let's talk on what we've actually do it our way. Whether it was Gazelle's, EK's, Porsche Designs, we was in it. You know what I mean? We're transcending our own element of the culture, our own way of doing things, because that's the Philly way. So, as I give you a little bit of that $1 million worth of game, thanks, Gil. You know what I mean? I want you to go ahead and take it to heart and say, that's that Philly shit. You know what I mean? And know that it's more than your block, but it is a culture that you're representing and bringing to the world. I've always had to defend my city, because everywhere I go, the first thing they identify is, oh, your city dirty. I said, no, it's gritty. It's gritty because it rep and identifies with the people within it. Now, that's something, it's a Philly thing they could never understand, like John. You know, but at the same time, I've learned to go ahead and observe what they provide. So it's the difference between being city slick and country cool. So in the balance, a scheme of things, I learned to be both. Put my city slick, a little bit of high, country cool. Because at the same time, the street corner ain't no different from the shade tree, because game is given out there. So embrace other people's contribution to the culture. Sit back and listen to it, because it'll make you a well-rounded individual. Now, most Philly individuals don't leave Philly. Not a bad thing, but the world's bigger than Philly. Now, anywhere I go, there's gonna be a New Yorker, okay? That's just part of their DNA. They get out. The aspect of going different places, I would see and meet very few people from Philly. I would be like the only dude repping Philly. So all they know of Philly was through me. You dig what I'm saying? So it's ELPREZ-1 because that's what they seen. It's like I had to have them identify with what it was from the city of Thuggery Love. You know, everybody, oh, bro, no, Thuggery. You know what I mean? Because that's what captured what the city pretty much was conveying. So, you know, Illadale, Killadale, you know what I mean? Boom. That's what was being transcended at that time when it was the #1 murder capital. We've come down from that. We've come to a greater consciousness. We understand that, we're not going to allow these headlines to embrace and also to limit who we are as individuals, but still rep that. Now, what I did see in different cities, different places, is more love for their city, and that helps transcend their artistry. Less hate, more love. See, that's why other music groups, not saying that they're less talented, but just as talented, create movements. Because as a collective, they're allowed to move forward as a unit. See, you get more done as a fist than you will a finger and making an impression. So, this is that game that need to be thought about, because with that rich culture, what we like is to be a fist. Because when we standing together, we can't be denied. So they take individuals that basically are, you know, when I returned back home to Philly, everybody was in the city. You know, I could hit Huntington. I see Ness out there. I see Ness in the club at the Samba nightclub. You know, give me a look. You know what I mean? Boom. I see Dro from Ice City. You know what I mean? Boom. So I got the culture, basically how that group emerged, how Free was part of that group, and how things actually transcended. So I'm getting a listening ear because I was out the city for a while, of what those underground groups were experiencing and dealing with, even though they were being shot out on wax, even though they had their definitely they Philly core based crew, they still was dealing with their hurdles as groups trying to go ahead and break through, because it's always seeming to be like a glass ceiling. And hopefully social media provides them the light and the platform that they need to say, yo, we still representing. You know what I mean? Boom. So that gave me a chance to bust it up with Philly artists. Because that's important to me. It's always been, I captured them. Didn't get a chance to capture Ice City in the regard of that, but meet their acquaintance. So they were able to come through the studio, bust it up, you know what I mean, get a feel for who I was, and I get a feel for who they was. You know, not being on a block for a while, because the culture, I know it's out there in the street, but if you want to get some production work done, I've done transcended from a breakdance. I've done transcended bigger than an MC, trying to get into that producer level now, that Kanye, that Pharrell, that, you know what I mean, boom, we can only pray to get the Dre level. But on the level of saying, hey, you know what I mean, I'm bringing beats, I'm bringing rhymes, I'm bringing flavor, I'm bringing culture. With that, this is where everything I do has to be base, home base, you know what I mean, for those that had the opportunity to come through the studio, you know what I mean, I appreciate that. I appreciate those that patronize. A lot of times it was my Boweekwa. You know what I mean? Boom. You know what I mean? Straight up, no doubt. You know what I mean? North Philly. You know what I mean? Boom. That movement of music, the Latinas and the Latino men, they embrace it. I appreciate their support. You know what I mean? Boom. Pete, Neres, you know what I mean? Boom. Because they helped me build. You know, they ain't look at me and say, who do you think you are? They understood the power of music. So they weren't even artists. Pete, my man, not even a rapper, MC, but what he brought was his constructive mind, his building, his ingenuity to the Street Kingdom family. He said, yo, what you not far as electrician, I'm that. That's my artistry. I deal in currency. Oh, that helped. So I was being able to build something out of nothing. I took it from a street corner. I would go ahead and hit construction sites, me and Tuff at night. You see what I'm saying? Boom, 2x4s. You know what I mean? Sheetrock. You know what I mean? Installation. That's how we built something. More like Fat Albert and the gang. You know what I mean? When I grew up on television, Saturday mornings, catch the Cosby Fat Albert show. Why? Because within that half an hour, I got so much. I got community. I got the power of friendship. And I got a lesson to grow on. And I was able to go ahead and put that in the concept of building. You know what I mean? So, Big Bill, thank you. You know what I mean? He's always been a pillar in the community. Now, as I go back to one of the pivotal characters of the Street Cred book, Gino. Gino, God bless her soul, she's like a saint to me, my Aunt Clara. They had a storefront down 8th and Brown back in the day when Richard Hour was the Towers, you know what I mean? Straight up used to come through there, you know what I mean? It was definitely what they would say havoc, that drama in Richard Island, you know what I mean? Boom, big up to the Ram Squad. So, since the 60s, Bill Cosby, even at Temple University, would patronize her business. That's something as a business owner she was proud of. That's something that she passed as far as legacy, that, you know, Bill Cosby used to come through here and get things. Clara Hauser. So, sad name. She was a Beach Street mom. One of those moms that embraced what you did on the streets, but at the same time gave you a consciousness that there was something bigger. And that in itself is to be honored. For all those that call the mom, and y'all know who y'all is, you see what I'm saying? Boom. She's like a saint among hustlers. We hold high regard to her. You know what I mean? Boom. Because we ate her cooking. We soaked in her wisdom. We captured her blessing. You know what I mean? She was truly a Beach Street mom. So I'm always keep it not 100, but 110 with you. You know what I mean? Boom. Because it is a Philly thing, and I'm representing it. So getting back to what we base and what's my part of town and what goes on or what has gone on in my part of town, what I'm representing, because it has not been well documented. It is not any sound literature. You have pieces and tidbits here and there. I looked, I seeked, and I said, why me? Why not me? So, from them days you came to my house party, then boom, party, wop, prepped, to the pipes was sweating, to them days that, basically you kicked in with me in the halls of King, or, Sunday B, where we learned to spit our verses, that brought me to camp, had me the opportunity to meet one of the greatest Philly artists of our time, to the campus of the HBCUs, where I had the opportunity to meet some of the legendary artists, such as Bahamadia, and capture the moment with my pen. Why? Because at the end of the day, they say the pen's mightier than the sword, so I'm going to kill you with success. That's real rap. Because I already know what they got waiting for me. They want me to play the crash dummy. But see, the whole thing is, I might crash out, but I ain't no dummy. You got it up. So, this is what I provide. As I put my rhyme, showing you why my black life matter. Now look at me. The way I'm back in the kitchen, the way they got me cooking and hooking this shit up. See, any and every adversity only bring out the best of me. So every lyric I spit gotta be finger licking good, and that's the recipe. So check for me. We'll be back on that. So, as we deal with these issues that plague hip hop, where we feel like we gotta move on everything, or everything needs our attention. You think an elephant take the time to swat every fly that flies on his back? He don't got the time. That's the little shit. Now, when you taking care of big shit, you say, because can't you see the flies around me? You know what I mean? Straight up. So that's what we doing. And you don't have to tell a fly that don't got shit on a bee, because the bee got the honey it surrounds. So it's going to be a lot of flies around you. Let them play in that shit. Now, that's real, because there's nothing in this city but stepping over piles of shit, because it's everywhere you walk, from the curb to the street, from the dogs to the people. It's full of it, full of shit. You know what I mean? Boom. So in order to bring this culture up, not urge. Matter of fact, I motivate you. The hate in your veins, don't let it be Philadelphia. You know what I mean? Don't be Tom Hanks. Don't be Denzel. You know what I mean? Don't be, as they would say, that aspect of HIV kill this city. Because what we give is much more than they can see. You know what I mean? And I be in places they want to be with people they want to see. You know what I mean? So, that's my job. I put it on my back, took it on myself. I mean, boom. Black Watch. You know what I mean? Boom. Why? Because I returned back to my community because I felt that I had something to contribute to the community. So at the same time, when I go uptown, I'm proud when I go to the barbecue on 4th of July and they pass me over a big piece of chicken. You know what I mean? Boom, nice slice of watermelon. You know what I mean? Why? Because I remember his little badass, but he's still around. He still contribute. He still gives to his community. And y'all can check that. You know what I mean? So go back. You know what I mean? Boom. Y'all want to go ahead and check that? You know what I mean? Like, oh, how does he serve his community? As an MC, I serve it from the streets to the youth. That's how I was raised. So you OGs, when you see a kid out there that's sharp, when you see a kid out there talented, you supposed to shield him. You supposed to give him game like Smoking Joe gave me. Why? Because I spoke to a parent this week and she told me, Miss Gonzalez told me, she said, my son is involved with hip hop, but he ain't want me to know. See, because what's going on, it's not something that blatantly we want to put on Front Street because the things that go with it. Now, I'm not saying any involvement. I'm quite certain he's an upstanding young man. But she was supporters of his art form. That's something I ain't have in my crib. You know what I mean? Because with the aspect of how I was being provided was like, nah, more assimilation. But now that the culture has opened up, that there's billions to be made through the hip-hop culture, I ask that the parents keep a more open mind. So parents go from just don't understand to, let me see what I'm understanding. That's game. So this is supposed to, and I try to refrain from the cursing, so at this hour, the kids can get a sense of game from a real OG, and at the same time, the parents can sit down and say, he's worthwhile listening to. That's why I came on at this hour, because I feel as though it's important, like Easy told Cube in the movie. You know I like after school specials, Cube. You see what I'm saying? So ain't nothing wrong with that. Big up. Now, for the next couple days, you know what I mean, I'm going to keep dropping it, you know what I mean, clips, you know what I mean, letting y'all see what's a little bit, what's under the cover of the book, what I'm providing you, you know what I mean, what I'm guiding you to. Not trying to be no hero, no role model, because the rap sheet don't say that. What the parole officer told me, he said, you got degrees, but it looked like you got a GED. Now, nothing to be proud of, because what I found in the city of Philadelphia, you can be falsely accused. You can be arrested without anything of evidence. You can be convicted off a lie, off a failing to investigate. These are social ills. Also came to address them. Also came to go ahead and expose them. Also came to say, it's not only happening to me, it's happening to others. Take a look. With that, I ask for you to be supportive. My OG, you know what I mean, Jerry Bernard, real jailhouse lawyer. When I was upstate, I was kicking it to him, you know, spitting my game, saying John, all that Philly slang. You know what I mean? He in a wheelchair, he rolled back, shut his door on me. What? I don't want that in here. I've been locked up for more than most of these cats in the day room before they were born. If I want that, I would be out there. You at my door, you gonna speak like you an alumni of a HBCU. You gonna act accordingly. This is a man with a 4th grade, and he says a 4th grade education, and had me looking up in the dictionary. Because if I misspelled the word or if I mispronounced the word, he kept me on my day job all night. So, in toleration of real G's, trust me, what he in fact has served that type of time for make him triple OG. But what he's accomplished personally has even a college educated individual marveled at what his knowledge at 70 plus years old, what he retains, his mental faculty, and say, for situations that happened over 50 years ago, do we wish to see our elderly just go to waste while incarcerated? Another social issue. Are they no longer a threat? Is the fact that they were not willing to cooperate gives the state legal right to take their lives away from them? So on the jailhouse lawyer aspect of street cred, we're going to be bringing attention to social issues, what I see firsthand, never word of mouth, to bring us to a higher level of consciousness. I mean, big up my OG, you know what I mean, Mr. Jerry, everybody know him, state pen, you know what I mean, get that legal work in, you know what I mean, handle your business, because I understand that through these social targeting that we of black and brown have been affected more so than anyone else. So while they sitting around playing cards in the day room, you could be getting on a different level, because I seen it firsthand. Impressed and marveled, and at the same time make me step my game up. You know what I mean? Because anytime somebody throw what I achieved in my face, like it was minuscule, some things money can't buy. Knowledge reigns supreme over nearly everyone. See, kings lose crowns, but teachers stay intelligent. All right? So, once again, Prez, big up to Chris, one of the first artists in the industry to come and collab with Philly artists, to put them on a platform and say, yo, check them out, listen. So, that blueprint is something that, hey, was fashioned and modeled after a great MC. Someone I'm still ravished when I see. So, I hope y'all enjoyed this segment. At the same time, I know it's important. Touch bases. Don't forget Tuff Crew, March 14th. You know what I mean? That number, I don't got it right here in my face, but if you check with them, I'm quite certain it's posted. Hope to see you at the show. For the old school cats that follow, you know what I mean, getting classic hits, classic traps, you know what I mean, boom. My man Joey TOOTUFF on the wheels of steel for 4 decades. You know what I mean? Real rap, real game. Street Kingdom Entertainment, the book Street Cred. All these great stories are captured in the moment, real time. We speak on relevance. This is happening now. As we speak, we keep attention to all parts of the game, because when we see it, we love it. Philly is not only a place that you live, it's a place that you feel. It's a place that you taste. It's a place that you build. And that's what I seen in other music genres that were allowed to come in and say, boom, hey, when we together, we create a movement. Now, I see a movement bubbling. I see that, hey, the streets of Philadelphia are overflowing with artistry, with a need to be heard, with tracks that need to be felt, with street artists ready to display from all generations. You know what I mean? So stay tuned, stay alert, stay dangerous. You know what I mean? Straight up. You know what I mean? Rest in peace, Net. Game ain't free. We buy into it. And for those that know me, let it be known what type of cat I am. You know what I mean? Once again, appreciate the comments. Appreciate the support. They asked for the little, you know, the little hearts and all that stuff. You know what I mean? I'll get into that later. But right now, Street Cred. If you know anyone who is a web designer, have them call me. I have work. You know what I mean? Soul Nexus. SOLNEXTUS@gmail.com. The number 267-407-6030. We trying to bring something new, innovative. I am not on no level a techie, so as far as being an artist, doing music, I have enough on my plate. So as far as breaking codes and things of that level, it's beyond me at the moment. So I'd rather go ahead and, as they would say, contract outside house. With that, big boys, film industry, looking for material, fresh, new, representing a culture, a genre, covering 4 decades of photos, video, clips, photography with literature. Please, I'm open, I'm willing. It's more so about the culture than anything, but I am a businessman and a shrewd one at that. Overbrook Studios, Lee Daniels, Big Fifth, we here. You know what I mean? I know how you feel. You know what I mean? Dame. You know what I mean? Boom. I know you're capable of putting a production together. Anyone else? We're not talking about division. I don't want to feel like I have to choose sides in the perspective of bringing my artistry to the forefront. I'm not from NY. I don't engage in the politics that might be going on. I'm from Philly. That's the thing. Everybody might have their feelings about New Yorkers, but everybody loves Philly wherever I go. You know what I mean? The city is gritty where the poor can't get nothing but some pity. Where most babies would go hungry if their moms didn't have a titty. I represent that big East, but this ain't New York City. You know what I mean? Boom, it's Philly. We gritty. You know what I mean? Boom. So feel this. Hope y'all enjoying this beautiful day out there in the city. You know what I mean? Boom. Another thing. Go see Smoking Joe for they move him to the art museum. You know what I mean? Pay homage because he is giving it to our youth. If anyone in the media can get the moment that I spoke on Larry Kane's Thursday's Child, this would be the early 80s. I've attempt to retrieve that footage. Get with me. Soul Nexus. SOLNEXTUS